At the wedding scene, my boyfriend locked me in the dressing room. Lillian has a terminal illness and wants to experience being a bride before she dies. He took off the wedding dress I was wearing and put it on his childhood sweetheart. I struggled fiercely to resist, but all I heard was that famous line from Qiong Yao. She's about to die, how can you not have even this bit of compassion? What you've lost is just a wedding, but what Lillian is losing is her dreams and her life. When Victor came in, I was lowering my head to adjust the hem of my dress, preparing to go on stage. Sophia, Seeing him stammering, I thought he had pre-wedding jitters. I slowly walked over and held Victor's hand, teasing him. How come the groom is more nervous than the bride? You won't get so emotional that you'll cry later, will you? But this time, Victor didn't joke around with me as usual. His black suit outlined his tall figure, carrying an inexplicable somber aura. What's wrong? Did something happen at the wedding venue? As I said this, I was about to walk out, but Victor grabbed my wrist. After seeming to ponder for a long time, he finally met my eyes. Sophia, Lillian, she has a terminal illness. I was stunned. Lillian, Victor's childhood sweetheart. When I was pursuing Victor, she often used their childhood friendship to trip me up. I could tell she liked Victor a lot, but I was dissatisfied with others coveting my boyfriend. But every time I mentioned this to Victor, he would look helpless. I only treat her as a sister. It wasn't until my birthday this year, when Victor proposed to me, that Lillian faded out of our lives. Lillian has a terminal illness? I looked up at Victor, somewhat puzzled. But that doesn't mean you have to go to the hospital to see her now, right? The wedding is in 10 minutes. The man interrupted me, looking urgent. Lillian has already come over, she said. What did she say? She said that in her lifetime, she's never been in love, and she wants to experience being a bride before she dies, before she passes away. Victor's eyes were full of sorrow for Lillian's plight, and even his speech became cautious. I felt speechless, found a chair to sit down. She wouldn't make you run away from the wedding now and go to a wedding dress shop to pick one for her, would she? Victor shook his head. Only then did I breathe a sigh of relief. Just as I was about to sigh that the little green tea had turned over a new leaf, Victor's words directly shocked me to the core. It's too late to go outside, Sophia, why don't you lend your wedding dress to Lillian to wear? I looked up at Victor in shock, seriously suspecting that he had been possessed by idiocy. My tone involuntarily turned cold. What, she can't live until tomorrow? Or have all the wedding dress shops outside gone bankrupt, and there's not a single one in the entire city that she can wear? Sophia. Victor's face darkened, his gaze so cold that it made my heart ache for a moment. Lillian is already so pitiful, why do you still curse her? I was so angry that I laughed, standing up to argue with him. Victor, has your head been squeezed by a door? She has a terminal illness, and letting her wear my wedding dress will cure her. What, is my wedding dress a miracle drug? More effective than doctors? Allowing her to skip treatment and ascend to heaven right here? She, Lillian, used to play these tricks to send you away. I tolerated it in the past, but today is our wedding day. Do you understand the word marriage? Overcome with emotion, my chest heaved violently as I spoke. But not only did Victor not wake up from the scolding, his face gradually sank. Sophia, I really didn't expect you to be such a black-hearted person. His gaze was as if looking at garbage, tightly choking the words I wanted to say. Brother Victor. Just as we were in a standoff, the dressing room door was pushed open. Lillian, with her hair down, tears in her eyes, her plain long dress making her face look even paler. Don't argue with Sister Sophia because of me, it's all my fault, blame me for getting sick and not dying immediately, still thinking. Lillian. Victor gently covered her mouth, the heartache in his eyes about to overflow. Don't be afraid, today, no matter who it is, no one can stop me from helping you fulfill your wish. As he said this, he turned and walked toward me. I hadn't recovered from Lillian's provocative gaze when I was enveloped by Victor's tall figure. Sophia, I advise you to be kind. What if I say no? Seeing my firm attitude, Victor was silent for a moment. Then, he turned, pulled Lillian, and walked out. Just as I thought he had some regret, he came back in, and then, locked the door from the inside. Sophia, don't blame me. Victor walked toward me step by step. Realizing something was wrong, I stood up to run, but the man grabbed my wrist. He turned me around and pressed me against the dressing table, reaching to pull the zipper of the wedding dress. Are you crazy? Victor, let me go. My fierce struggle didn't earn back even a shred of the man's pity. The soft flesh at my waist was gripped until it hurt badly. Until the zipper drew a red mark on my body, I was in so much pain that tears streamed out. Only then did Victor stop. He was panting, holding the wedding dress stripped from my body, his tone reproachful. Does it hurt? You brought it on yourself. I covered my naked body, curling up on the ground, my carefully pinned hair disheveled, covering the last shred of dignity. The cold air from the air conditioner seemed to blow into my heart. The Phoenix man who seized the credit for saving my life was exposed. I looked up, meeting Victor's impassive eyes. I said word by word. Victor, we're completely over. My voice wasn't loud, carrying a sob. But the man thought I was threatening him, irritably turning around and striding out. Don't make a fuss, I'll make up the wedding to you. But today, Lillian's dream must be fulfilled. The man's figure gradually disappeared from my blurred vision. Along with it, a certain place in my heart became empty. Until I heard a click, I suddenly stood up, realizing. He was afraid I'd go out and cause trouble, so he locked the door from the outside. Self-mockingly picking up the white t-shirt on the chair, I laughed while trying to put it on. But the collar was too small, I couldn't get through, suffocating me until I cried and cried. TSK, so disheveled? Following the voice, I looked up in a daze. Perhaps my makeup was ruined by crying, I looked like a demon at that moment. The man's body clearly stiffened, suppressing the mockery at the corner of his lips. Do you want to get revenge? My eyes lit up, but I was puzzled again. How are you here? Ethan, Victor's business rival. It said they were good buddies in college, but for some unknown reason, they became enemies. I don't remember inviting Ethan. Questioned, Ethan wasn't angry, instead raising an eyebrow and smiling, walking toward me. His long legs wrapped in tight white suit pants, broad shoulders and narrow waist, hair meticulously styled. Paired with an impeccable face. Those who didn't know might think he was today's groom. Sure you don't want to come with me? Miss this chance and there won't be another. The man extended his hand. Without waiting for me to think, he directly pulled me up from the ground. After wiping with a handkerchief, the man nodded in satisfaction. Let's go, revenge should be taken on the spot, holding it in will only wrong yourself. My wrist was gripped. The warmth in Ethan's palm, like his back, inexplicably made one feel reliable. Groom Mr. Victor, for richer or poorer, are you willing to stay by the bride's side, never leaving or forsaking? On stage, the host was reciting the vows. Victor looked at Lillian, his eyes full of tenderness and pity. I do not. The abrupt voice sounded. All eyes in the venue shifted to me. I clearly saw the smile in Victor's eyes freeze. Facing Lillian's furious gaze, I took the microphone handed by Ethan and stepped onto the red carpet that should have been mine. Where's the security? Victor frowned, pulled the troublemaker down. I smiled coldly, turning the microphone volume to maximum. Everyone, I am Sophia, the bride Sophia. The guests were in an uproar, the sounds of flipping through invitation letters made Victor's face completely dark. Yes, doesn't it say the bride is Sophia on this? Then who is the woman on stage? Who knows, Victor's wedding was so rushed, I've never seen the bride before. Various scrutinizing gazes made Lillian's eyes red. Everyone, the invitation letter has a typo, Victor held Lillian's hand. The real bride is here. Such a clumsy excuse naturally no one believed. But because he was Victor, the discussions gradually quieted down a bit. But my dignity was pressed to the ground and rubbed, I couldn't swallow this anger. My name is embroidered on the wedding dress, even the venue, photography, layout, all funded by me. Victor says the bride is her. That's fine too. I smiled, pulled up the phone bill and projected it on the big screen. The cost is 13.14 million, Victor, credit card or transfer? The man's face completely cooled, his gaze scanning the door. Don't look, the security's money was also paid by me, they don't recognize you. Victor irritably tugged at his tie. But Lillian, this idiot, afraid the excitement wasn't enough, started making trouble again. Sister Sophia, I know you have opinions about me. She cried as she approached me. Borrowing your wedding was my fault, but I have a terminal illness. Brother Victor did this just to let me fulfill my dream, you can't blame him. As she spoke, she glanced at the guests' attitudes out of the corner of her eye. Sure enough, some people started scolding me for lacking compassion. I slapped away Lillian's hand, grabbing me, directly confronting her face to face. Oh, terminal illness? What's the name of the disease? Which hospital diagnosed you? How come I didn't know that dying people have thicker skin than city walls, robbing someone else's multi-million wedding dress so righteously? Lillian was choked by me and retreated straight back, coughing until her little face was pale. Victor immediately came over and blocked in front of her. Sophia. He shouted my name viciously. What you've lost is just a wedding, but what Lillian is losing is her life. Quibbling with a dying person, are you so lacking in compassion? This Qiong Yao style speech really disgusted me. I carefully scrutinized Victor. He was still as handsome as ever, but now I felt he was like a moldy cotton jacket. Fine, Victor is deeply affectionate. I'll fulfill you too. Lillian breathed a sigh of relief. How to settle the bill? I pulled up the payment code. Over 10 million, this burial gift from Victor is really expensive. You're cursing me? Lillian glared at me shrilly. What, am I wrong? Oh right, forgot to send you a bunch of white chrysanthemums. Just as Lillian was so angry she could hardly keep up the act, Victor took out a bank card from his pocket and threw it on the ground, saying coldly. Take your money and leave. Don't think about making up the wedding. The triumph in Lillian's eyes was more glaring than the diamonds embedded on the wedding dress skirt. Looking at Victor again. Our eyes met, leaving only disappointment. Until I sat in Ethan's car, I was still in a daze. Speak, what do you want? Helping me for no reason, you must have ulterior motives. Who knew? The man just sighed, then drove to the boxing gym. You want me to be your punching bag? I looked incredulously at Ethan, who had changed and stood in front of me. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, the thin tight-fitting clothes vaguely outlining the contours of his abs. I slightly turned my head away. Don't dare? How could that be? I can't stand provocation the most, immediately put on the gloves, and started fighting. Sweat splashed freely. In a moment of impulse, taking advantage of the man's unpreparedness, I angrily punched him in the face. When Ethan closed his eyes and wailed, I suddenly sobered up. I quickly went forward to pull his hand away and check the situation. Sorry. It was me imagining him as Victor. Hiss. The man leaned against the railing, raised an eyebrow, and gave me a roguish look. Does this count as a work injury? Ethan's eyes were smiling, completely without the cold decisiveness in the business world. The contrast was too great, I was suddenly captivated. When I reacted, my hand had unconsciously touched the corner of his eye. Noticing the obscure emotions in Ethan's eyes, I retracted my hand as if electrocuted. I was just worried that if I blinded you, I'd have to compensate. Ethan chuckled lightly, his gaze lingering on my eyes for a long time. But someone was blind in the eyes and heart, making me wait for 4 years. How should this compensation be calculated? Breaths intertwined, the atmosphere ambiguous. Until the girl in his eyes blushed thoroughly, Ethan straightened up. Coward. The tone was helpless yet indulgent, making me suddenly dazed. This nickname inexplicably overlapped with that night 4 years ago. In the height of summer, cicadas chirped continuously. In the wedding house, looking at the carefully designed furniture piece by piece, a sour feeling surged in my heart. It had been a day since I packed Victor's luggage and sent it to his company. I finally saw him again. No, what do you mean by this? The man blocked the door, his brows full of irritation. Good timing, take the trash away, then go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. I threw the wedding photo on the ground, clutching 2 red books in my hand. Enough! Victor suddenly roared, taking a long stride, forcing me to the entrance. I've given you the position of wife, I just helped Lillian with a small favor, is it necessary to make such a fuss? Small favor? I sneered, pulling off his tie. What kind of sister needs Victor's help in bed? A lover sister? Victor panicked because I took out my phone and showed the evidence of his cheating that I had photographed. Delete the photos, don't force me to be rude to you. The vicious threat was far less chilling than the hickey on his neck. Together for 4 years, I always wanted to save my first time for the wedding night. But now, the groom is dirty. Victor, who gave you the confidence to think I'd accept second-hand goods? I looked at him coldly, word by word. Don't take advantage of the love I gave you to act recklessly. I, Sophia, have never been someone who must have anyone. Seeing my firm attitude, Victor suddenly lowered his stance. Sophia, I know you're angry that I occupied your wedding. How about this? When Lillian recovers, I'll take you to the Maldives to make up for it, okay? I was so angry I laughed, suddenly feeling that Ethan was right. I was indeed blind in the eyes and heart before, otherwise how could I fall for such a thing? Don't disgust people here, hurry up, while the Civil Affairs Bureau hasn't closed, get this divorce done, and you can live happily with your childhood sweetheart. Victor was so angry that his forehead throbbed, gritting his teeth and shaking his head. Fine, you're tough. Divorce is okay, return my card. No, are you sick? I looked at him like an idiot, the entire wedding was paid by me, you want to please Lillian, why should I be the sucker? Sophia. Victor almost squeezed my name out of his throat. You're an orphan, without a proper job, besides me, where do you get millions from? The contempt in the man's eyes was unmasked, looking at me like a gold digger. Yes, I am indeed an orphan. But during university, I started an online business, relying on excellent design skills, founded my own company. It's just that all business is conducted online. Seeing that I wasn't angry but instead looked at him puzzled. Victor frowned, his expression mocking. What, can't bear to part with my money, don't want to divorce anymore? No, that's not right. I clearly told Victor that I have my own company. But looking at his reaction. The abrupt phone ring interrupted my thoughts. Sophia, the house in Yunmingport is settled, I'll come pick you up to see it. Ethan's magnetic voice came through the receiver. You dare to cheat? Victor jumped in rage, good, you shameless woman, climbed a higher branch and want to kick me away? Dream on. Victor acted like he caught my handle, emotionally agitated, outputting a barrage. Although we've argued countless times since being together, none made me feel he was so unreasonable. Did he hit you? Ethan darkened his face, his gaze cold as if wanting to kill. Oh, no, the blood is that scumbag's. I disdainfully took off my coat and threw it in the trash. Ethan's expression eased. Only then did I notice his forehead was full of sweat, and he was somewhat out of breath. 10 minutes ago, Victor, seeing I didn't listen to his lecture, chattered and wanted to hit me. But he seemed to forget, Taekwondo max level. He was kicked to the ground by me, sitting on the broken vase, covering his butt and wailing in pain. Wanting to take my money to support a gigolo, impossible in this lifetime. Victor threatened viciously before leaving. Just thinking that I'm still in the same red book with him makes me want to vomit. Your face looks so bad, how about the house matter another day? Ethan looked at me worriedly, took a broom and swept away the glass shards beside me. How can that be? I need to earn more to fight the divorce lawsuit. A half-joking sentence. But Ethan turned from gloomy to sunny, happy as if he won the lottery. Until he drove me to Yunmingport, the corners of his lips never dropped. Ethan bought the house 4 years ago, why only now think of renovating? I wandered inside the house, examining the structure, casually asking. In the empty room, no response. Until I turned around. Ethan stared at me dazedly, his expression dark. Carrying inexplicable grievance. A strange feeling spread in my heart. Ethan, have we met before? As the words came out, I regretted a bit. What kind of scumbag pickup line is this? But the man's eyes in front of me quietly widened, filled with expectation. You remembered? Ethan walked toward me, excited to hug me, but afraid of overstepping, his hands gripped my shoulders. Ah? I was shocked that I really knew Ethan but didn't remember him. Seeing this reaction, the light in Ethan's eyes dimmed again. Tell me. Seeing him let go, I was a bit anxious. Maybe if you say it, I'll remember. The man opened his mouth, but shook his head entangled, looking somewhat dejected. Forget it, for your own good. A nonsensical sentence. I was almost tortured to death by curiosity. But no matter how I pestered him, even promising to design furniture for free, Ethan wouldn't budge. For the first time, we parted unhappily. The next day, I took the divorce agreement to find Victor. Just arriving downstairs at his company, I found everyone looking at me with strange eyes. It's her, the gold digger, stringing along our Victor while keeping a lover outside. It said she used Victor's money to open rooms with wild men. Did you see the video of her making a scene at the wedding? Victor has already achieved fruition with his childhood sweetheart, and she still shamelessly asks for breakup fee. I couldn't hear clearly, wanted to walk over. But those women avoided me like the plague. Go away, who knows what dirty disease this woman has, don't infect me. The puzzle was solved when I reached Victor's office door. The person I've always loved is Lillian. Sophia, sigh. Blame me for being soft-hearted, she threatened with the child in her belly. I had to get the certificate with her to appease her emotions. I don't blame her for using my money to keep other men, I'm just worried about how she'll explain to the future child. As for Lillian, I'm very grateful that when she learned Sophia was cheating me out of money, she informed me promptly and stood firmly by my side. I'll divorce Sophia as soon as possible, and help her find the child's real father. Property division? I'll give their mother and child 1 million, only hoping she can turn back from the wrong path and reform. The door opened. The man giving an emotional speech on stage, upon seeing me, had 2 tears hanging in the corners of his eyes, about to fall but not. The bitter expression stiffened on his face, mixed with guilt. I moved my lips, about to speak. Countless flashes suddenly shone on me. You're Miss Sophia, right? In the 21st century, why still think of being a gold digger to scam money? No hands? Can't work yourself? May I ask if the child in your belly is really Victor's? How many men have you been entangled with? Interfering in Victor's relationship, making a scene at the wedding demanding over 10 million breakup fee, doesn't your conscience hurt? The reporter's sharp questions surged toward me like a tide. Sarcasm, contempt, disdain. I clenched my fists, remembering their faces one by one. It will, I said with a smile. Taking advantage of the crowd's stun, I pushed aside and walked toward Victor. However, the one who should hurt is him. Victor covered his butt wanting to run. But it was too late. I took off my high heels and smashed one on his head. No one came forward, everyone was pressing shutters to record the hot news. That night, I was on hot search again. Gold digger can't get money, flies into rage and beats sugar daddy. I sat at the computer desk, watching the previous hot search video once. The most miserable CEO, forced to marry by gold digger, wanted to help critically ill lover fulfill wish, but wedding ruined. Scum woman forces patient to die, extorts Victor over 10 million. The video was maliciously edited, only showing me triumphantly raising eyebrows at Victor, making him give me 13.14 million. Matched with the green tea's pale self-description of I'm about to die. The whole internet was cursing me as mistress whore, lamenting Victor and Lillian's touching love. Even Shin Group's stock kept rising to the limit. child blown by the wind, forcing him to marry, keeping wild men. To add crimes, why worry about pretexts? Just didn't expect that after knowing I was determined to divorce, Victor would use such despicable means to profit by stepping on my corpse. My heart was filled with desolation. The light that once shone into my world bred evil. Click, save the video. I quickly contacted a lawyer to sue. But no matter how much money I offered, no one was willing to take the case. Contacting the hotel, I wanted the surveillance from the wedding day. "Oh my, Miss Sophia, you have so many men," just whisper in their ears, "wouldn't those sugar daddies send the surveillance with both hands? Why come personally to ask?" The female manager spoke sarcastically, blocking me without waiting for rebuttal. The late summer evening breeze blew in from the window, cool, seeming to mock as well. I sneered. Really careless, shouldn't have believed the little green tea came back this time just to snatch the wedding so simply. 4 years ago, the year of graduation. I had just finished drawing design plans at a client's house and was returning to school. In the pitch-black alley, to take a shortcut, I walked fearfully. Until the footsteps behind got closer and closer, I was so scared that tears flowed. Finally turned the corner, but found I went wrong into a dead end. Several drunks carrying bottles, their lewd faces enlarging before me. I fought with taekwondo. But each one tall and strong, I had no chance at all. The second before being beaten to the ground and fainting. I saw a figure. A boy in a white shirt, anxiously running toward me and protecting me behind him. That day, we were rescued. But I temporarily lost my sight due to eye injury. The days of not seeing reminded me of my time in the orphanage. The dean always scolded us as money losers, unable to attract sponsors. The helplessness and wandering in the darkness suddenly stopped when I heard the warm and clear voice of the boy next door. "What are you afraid of? It's not like you'll be blind forever. You were quite brave fighting those men, why cry now? Coward, don't be afraid, I'm here guarding you." The boy chattered on, but really accompanied me for a long time. The day before regaining sight, I asked him his name. No response. I was anxious, hurriedly stood up. But only touched a small scar on the back of the boy's hand. But he quickly withdrew his hand, teasing me. Hey, the coward isn't cowardly at all, even learned to take liberties." The days of banter were short. Until I opened my eyes. "Hello, my name is Victor." The voice made me frown, subconsciously looking at his hand. The small scar, no mistake. Later Victor told me he had a cold during that time, so his voice changed. I believed it, launched a fierce pursuit of him. Gave the national award spot to him who was second, helped him gather startup funds. Later, used my connections to quietly pull many clients for him. Sophia, you really are my lucky star. Every time Victor praised me with smiling eyes, I'd forget to ask why he no longer called me coward. "Sophia, marry me, you bring me good luck, I'll be responsible for supporting you." So, he married me only because I could provide resources. Once I no longer admired him and wanted to leave. He would squeeze the last bit of value from me. Ruthlessly destroying me without hesitation. "Coward, open the door." The familiar shout pulled me from memories to reality. Throwing away the wet towel, I walked toward the urgent knocking. "Are you okay?" Scared? Why not speak?" The man's concerns came into my ears one by one, the tension in his eyes about to overflow. In the blurred vision, Ethan's face gradually overlapped with that night 4 years ago. "What?" I grabbed his hand, flipped it inward. A small scar hidden on the side of the handbag. Tears could no longer be held, smashing down. "Why? Why was it you who saved me and accompanied me out of darkness, but you refused to admit it?" Looking up, the man's lips opened and closed. After several entanglements, it turned into a gentle smile. "Good that you're okay. The soy milk is hot, be careful when drinking." The next day, getting up with walnut eyes, breakfast was already set on the living room table. Ethan's elegant and dashing handwriting carried ink fragrance, refreshing the mind. Picking up fried dough sticks, I wanted to send him a message. But suddenly remembered what Ethan said last night, "Can't let Victor see me coming to find you." An inexplicable feeling surged in my heart. Since Ethan has admitted he was the one who saved me, why didn't he acknowledge me back then? After thinking, I still sent the message. Me, could it be you're a fugitive, caught in the act of silencing? Ethan? Neither. Then why did he let Victor take his credit? The living room clock went round and round. The sun moved from east to west, until the moon hung on the treetops. I wanted to go out for a walk, but just reaching the community gate. "Quick, the gold digger is out." Unknown who shouted, suddenly from all directions surged a large group carrying vegetable baskets. They glared indignantly at me, throwing rotten eggs and vegetable leaves at me. Cursing while throwing. Even more, using laser pointers to shine directly into my eyes. They were live streaming, I couldn't fight back. Just as I was forced to the poolside, about to fall. "What are you doing?" The man's furious voice came from outside the crowd. Immediately, bodyguards grabbed the troublemakers like chicks. Ethan rushed to me, eyes red, veins bulging on the back of his hands. "Forget it." I grabbed Ethan's arm. Afraid that 1 second later, he'd rush up and beat those people until their parents wouldn't recognize them. But... "Call the police." Ethan was stunned for a moment. This reaction made me inexplicably smile. "What, you think I'm someone who would wrong myself?" Ethan's eyes flickered, reaching to rub my hair. But I inopportunely thought. If he hadn't touched a handful of rotten egg, this would definitely be a very heart-fluttering hero saves beauty scene for girls. Coming out after changing into clean clothes, the living room light was still on. "This is the surveillance I got from the hotel, the dressing room part is mosaicked, you can use it directly." Ethan placed a USB drive on the table, his expression still angry. "This Lillian, so scheming, I must find the best lawyer to send her to jail." As if possessed, I approached Ethan. What's wrong?" Seeing me staring straight at him, the man's ear tips quickly turned red. "Ethan." His body immediately stiffened, like a student called upon. "Why can't Victor know it's you helping me?" It's indeed late today, Sophia rest early, I won't disturb haha." The man said, stood up, picked up his coat wanting to leave. I was anxious, wanted to stop. But used too much force, directly wall-downed him on the sofa. The pose ambiguous, breaths intertwined. The person beneath blushed thoroughly, wanted to push me away, but seeing me in a bathrobe, stiffened in midair with no way to proceed. Both tense to the point of at a loss. I suddenly remembered. During dating Victor, he wasn't without wanting to go further. But every time that moment came, I'd inexplicably push away. At that time I thought I was traditional, wanting to save the first time for wedding night. But now it seems, probably the heart is more honest than the body, better at recognizing. "Ethan, tell me. I've already muddle-headedly missed you for 4 years. I don't want more regrets." But no matter how red his face held, Ethan just wouldn't speak. I was a bit deflated. Don't cry." Somehow, I didn't cry when the mistress ruined the wedding. But now, looking at Ethan's stubborn mouth, tears fell in big drops. "Ouch, okay little ancestor, I'll say okay." Ethan flustered used his sleeve to wipe my tears, actions gentle. Remembering when with Victor, every tantrum it was me yielding, he never lowered himself. A big man, coaxing a woman, what's that? I was pu'd by him, almost forgetting, I too can be held in someone's palm. Ethan pressed me to sit properly on the sofa, draped a thin blanket over me, then started telling. "That year when saving you back to school, Victor saw. He at that time to pull startup funds, used all methods, but still short 50,000. So he found me, holding your..." Ethan paused, looked at me with complex expression. "I don't know him, what could he take from me?" Ethan pursed his lips, after deliberation, blurted out, "Nude photos." "Nude photos?" A chill spread from the soles of my feet. No wonder, one night after Ethan left caring for me. I thought the infirmary was empty, started changing. At that time always felt I heard shutter sounds. But asking, only full room silence responded. Victor's bottomless dirty operations simply shattered my worldview. Ethan pried open my tightly clenched fingers, placed a cup of warm water in my palm. He threatened with the photos, not letting me tell you my name, even forbidding me to approach you again. I was so angry I pinned him to the ground beating, demanding the photos, but he said, for every punch, he'd send the photos to one more boy. I used all methods, even hired hackers to hack his phone and computer, but he always had backups. Ethan darkened his face, gloomy eyes wanting to knife someone. Not your fault. I sat beside Ethan, gently patted his shoulder. Just like he encouraged me before. The wrong are the scheming people, we are innocent. Ethan looked at me. For a long time, blooming a relieved smile. But, he group is so powerful, how could it repeatedly lose business to Shin Group? Heaven knows, I'm purely curious. Although Victor's company is a newcomer, in front of the century-old He Group, it's nothing. The man was stunned by the question, helplessly glanced at me. That look, as if I wronged him. Isn't it because you once told that guy, if startup fails, you'd accompany him to beg under the overpass? Ethan's expression agreed, then wouldn't I be reluctant to compete for bids? The love brain quotes exposed, I was embarrassed to no end. Dejectedly sat on the sofa, extremely guilty. No wonder every time Victor won business and I clapped beside him, I could see complex painful emotions in Ethan's eyes. Sorry. Humph, little blind one. Ethan said he wouldn't forgive, but that sunder a happy little expression betrayed him. Evidence in place, I prepared to report to police. Before that, I found Lillian. At that time, she was live streaming, selling goods riding the wedding heat from last time. After entering, without a word I cut the power. Are you sick? Can't you see I'm live streaming? Lillian shrilled, angry to the point of spitting fire. Dare not, the sick one is you, how dare I compete with you? You dare curse me? Where, didn't you say yourself you have terminal illness, not long to live? Lillian choked and reached to hit me. I sidestepped, backhanded her a slap. The pleasant sound rang, I smiled gazing at her. So terminal illness people are still so energetic, at which hospital did you see, such good effect, truly a medical miracle, not making you a specimen for research is a pity. I'd sked in admiration, Lillian's face got blacker. P-graphing, saying I keep men and pregnant, guiding fans to cyberbully, leaking my address. These, enough for you to stay in prison for a while, right? Hee, Lillian stood up, laughing arrogantly, so what if I did it? You loser who can't even keep a man, what evidence to accuse me? Those netizens are really idiots, I just sold some misery, they crazily blocked you, rotten eggs tasty haha. If smart, quickly give up brother Victor's wife position. Well said. I clapped, revealing the mini camera standing behind. Lillian's pupils shocked, face swished pale. Don't look, I interrupted her checking power behind. Synced live, your bold words just now, forwards already over 10 million. Lillian shook head wanting to quibble. But I already on the way, put the video Ethan found of her bribing doctor, and full wedding scene version, all online. Truth revealed, netizens used as tools passionately spoke. Damn, I was instigated by mistress to cyberbully the wife? Lillian right, good, I'm nearby, if not beat her I'll write name backwards. Help. I just threw rotten egg at sister yesterday, I'm guilty, I'll go beg forgiveness now. More and more forwarded, even rushed to Shin Group leaving messages. Scumbag come out. Actually stripped bride's dress to put on mistress, in ancient times, you'd be caned to death. So disgusting, scumbag and mistress cooperating to eat human blood buns. Slandering wife as gold digger, clearly own cheating yet wronging other, I see the dirtiest is you. Damn, such person really shames us men, castrate him, see if still arrogant. Victor probably watched live too, now crazily calling me. I picked up, before his roar, sent him a sentence. Go to prison, slaughter scum. Ethan found the strongest lawyer. Victor detained for secret filming, rumor-mongering, slander. Netizens stronger, directly dug out Victor's financial fraud, fabricated business. In a moment, Shin shareholders fled and scattered, company became shell, value plummeted. And Victor changed from detention to fixed-term imprisonment. Before entering jail, I applied to see him one more time. Seeing Ethan appear behind me, Victor anxiously stood up. Good you guys, teaming up against me. Wait for me, see what I come out not. Shut up. I slapped his face. Photo threats, stealing others' credit, making me love wrong person for 4 years. I was really blind before liking you scum. Victor tongued his cheek, unwilling look. You're just climbing Ethan's high branch, what qualification to criticize me? If not for me, you'd probably never live good days. So from beginning to end he thought I was a vine relying on men. You with monthly salary 200K, where's the leisure to worry about someone with 2 million monthly? Ethan mockingly glanced at him. Walked over, opened phone. Sophia, MH Design Company CEO. Who gave you the confidence to think she can't live without you? She'd only live better. Victor, as if struck by lightning, widened eyes trying to find Ethan's Photoshop evidence. Let's go, saying one more word to idiot I feel unlucky. I pulled Ethan's hand. No matter how Victor repented and roared behind, no longer looked back. Oh right, before Lillian was caught, a few incidents. Her using me for sympathy to earn quick money angered hackers. That hacker hacked her account, transferred all savings, donated to Women's Foundation. Also, her address was found. Angry netizens spontaneously smashed her home, threw rotten eggs at her, walls filled with words like mistress. Even more extreme, the day before caught, a stubborn woman live-streamed teaching mistress a lesson. Said to be professional in teaching mistresses. Just appearing, pinned Lillian to wall, forcefully stripped her clothes. Wearing so much, got something on mind? Like robbing others' clothes so much, you have no clothes? Kneel naked here to repent. Although live stopped urgently, netizens called it satisfying. As for photos, Ethan and I turned Victor's place upside down, now suspicious USB. To be safe, I burned the house down. If he comes out and sues you? This you don't know. I looked up, glanced at the blackened walls and endless ash on ground. A bit heartbroken. This house, he rented. That sucker charging little rent, I pointed to myself. Ethan smiled helplessly. Good too. The man turned, walked out. Old doesn't go, new doesn't come. Late summer wind lifted Ethan's hem. The boy in white shirt as 4 years ago, still dazzling. I jogged to catch up, actively held the man's hand. Ethan stunned, from shock, to surprise, to joy dyeing his brows. Together then. The man's smiling eyes, beautiful pupils only my figure. Ethan gripped the hand tightly. Good. For years misplaced, luckily, you're still by my side.